Going back almost 3 years, I believe, David Attenborough, a man who I have a great deal of respect for, said to the Radio Times, quote, "We are a plague on the earth. It's coming home to roost over the next 50 years or so. It's not just climate change, it's sheer space. Places to grow food for this enormous horde. Either we limit our population growth, or the natural world will do it for us. And the natural world is doing it for us right now." End quote. Some people have taken offence to Mr. Attenborough's words. I'm not one of them. I think huge problems really are on the horizon for us, and only a united worldwide effort to seriously address our problems in a systematic, well thought out way, a long-term strategy, is going to cut the mustard, so to speak. It's not a hopeless situation. No. Science, technology, good government and individual responsibility will all have their parts to play if we're to survive and prosper beyond this century. We can never be certain what the future holds in store, of course, but we can make sensible plans, build action plans around the variables. Yeah. Anyway, some took issue with what David said. Louise Gray covered this Attenborough interview. Louise Gray, environmental correspondent for The Telegraph, and it generated a lot of comments, of which I'd like to read you a few selections and respond as I see fit. Okay. A user called Iridacity, in response to someone else's comment, said, "The only shortages on the planet have been caused deliberately. Otherwise, try doing some research on waste." Right. It can't be denied that as a species we are wasteful and destructive, and we are consuming Earth's resources at an unsustainable rate. But to say that there are no shortages other than those caused deliberately is false. Sometimes crops fail, as has happened recently in Ethiopia. The earth can be a harsh and brutal place, not enough food to feed the hungry masses, so an international effort is required sometimes to stop humanitarian crises from developing or getting worse. And sometimes ill-advised or short-sighted government policies can lead to a crisis. Lack of food, clean water, shelter, basic provisions. Not by design, but due to a number of factors. Arrogance, ignorance, incompetence, lack of foresight, aggression. Governments, the ministers of a government, can make mistakes, and assessments are not always as thoroughgoing as they should be. Yeah. Another comment. Just because someone is rich or famous does not mean they have a clue what they're talking about. This is pure cultural propaganda, with zero substantiating facts. Yeah. David Attenborough is a naturalist. He's been involved in scientific research for decades, and he's travelled the world over and over doing nature documentaries. He's not some propagandist who the BBC wheels out every now and again because he's famous. What are you talking about? That one was from a user called Lishoy Springford. Yeah. An anonymous guest says, "The only logical comment after all this alarmism is, time to take suicide pills. You first." Yeah, that's not a logical thing to say, buddy. Moving on, one more comment then, from a user called Tongast, who says, "Hey, Mr. Sir Attenborough, I must be a plague because I am human. I have every right to be on this land, whether you like it or not." And this person goes on to say, "God Almighty is responsible for all of us. If you have a problem, go and speak to him about it." Alrighty. God is responsible for all of us. Yeah. How about some good old individual responsibility and accountability? I don't think the leave God to sort it out policy is a smart one moving forward. And this taking offence at what David Attenborough said, I think some folks need to learn to read more carefully. He doesn't say individual people are a plague. He was clearly speaking about the species collectively. But looking through the comments as I saw, people getting all defensive, taking his words personally, playing the blame game. Perhaps we will get our act together as a species, unify, and truly address world problems as the global force we've become. Let's deal with things realistically. Let's be grown-ups. Or maybe we will turn on each other in an ever-increasingly harsh, dangerous, and hostile world. Clearly we have the capacity for cooperation, decency, but also for cruelty and brutality. So, yeah. Anyway, feel free to comment on this, rate and subscribe, and I will see you next time, folks. Peace.